Reiss. Wilton makes a run ahead of it. Bergkamp suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp! That's magnificent! The move, and then this, which left Dabby's ass totally stranded.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're listening in, whatever format you're listening in on. This is a She War podcast. I've hijacked the Bergkamp Wonderland podcast with the blessing of Danny and invited a few people on so we could have a little chat about tickets. So firstly, what I'm going to do is introduce everybody. And yeah, just tell me what your membership status is, I guess. So we'll start with fellow on the top right. Danny?
I wasn't expecting to come to me first. I don't currently have any season tickets. I got my first ticket in 1987. It was away at Spurs. And then that was 87, 88, 88, 89 to 2003, 2004. I had a season ticket nearly every single season. And then went to a new stadium, didn't like it, decided to stop going. And then I have looked at applying for a ticket. It's when you have a purple membership, wheelchair one, it is I get in for half price and my carer gets in for nothing. And so I think the first time I did it at the Emirates, I had 4 season tickets because my neighbour did it as well and he never went. And I think it was costing me about £300 a season. But they were terrible seats because at Highbury, you used to sit at the front. And then at the Emirates, you sit behind a load of people that stand up and then you can't see anything. So the only place to sit is the next level up. And that was going to cost me about £700 a year. And then recently, Sian said that she can come with me to go to games and a couple of friends. But then trying to get tickets for anything at Arsenal now is impossible. So the last time I went to a game, I bought one ticket. It was September 2019, beat Villa 3-2. And I will maybe look into going again, but when you try and apply for a purple membership, it is not easy because there are far too many people and not enough spaces. That's me done.
I think that kind of sums up everyone. Right, Femi, yourself, your membership status and history, I guess.
Yeah, membership status. I've been a season ticket holder at the Emirates since 2010. Randomly got a ticket. I was like 20,000 on the waiting list, got my ticket, and then they forgot to remove me off the waiting list and called me the next year thinking that I didn't have a ticket and offered me another ticket. I told the guy I've got a ticket. He said, "Oh, it's already on offer to you, so do you want another one?" So ended up with 2 season tickets. So yeah, that was 2 season tickets. One is in the North Bank, and the one that I sit in is in the West and Upper. And I go to about 2 away games a year. That's my status right now.
Right, sweet. We'll get on to our away games at some point. Fergus.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, good. Season ticket holder similar to Femi, 2010. I think it was after we lost the League Cup final to Birmingham City and people were chucking the season tickets back left, right and centre. I was waited about 6 years and I got a season ticket, but I also had a couple of red memberships. I pressed the button to buy one and refreshed the screen and I got 2 instead of 1. So I've kept them and I use them if family are coming over from Ireland or if my grandson or my son want to go. I'm basically loads of games last season and the season before, and it's nigh on impossible on this new ballot scheme to get them, which we'll talk about afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. And Jeffrey.
Yes, evening all. I've been going the Arsenal since 1971. I've had season tickets in the family, 4 season tickets since 1985 in the East Upper Tier. I barely use them because I sit elsewhere, but my brother and his kids go, and sometimes my kids go with them as well. But so I've got 4.
Right, fair one. Okay, myself. Never wanted a season ticket. You didn't need one when I started going. Stopped going in 93 when it became all seater and all ticket. Joined on what was called the ticket registration scheme reserve list, so sort of like a red member equivalent in 1998. Spent the rest of the years at Highbury phone bashing to try and get tickets for League Cup games. which was great fun. And then when we moved to the bowl, got silver. In the family, there's 4 silvers and 2 junior gunners. So that's me. Well, I mean, we'll start with season tickets. Obviously, there's been an increase in season ticket holders over the last it's the start of last season. They increased the season tickets, and the main thing that I hear about all the time is away tickets, because we get away tickets. You're getting anything between 1,000 and 3,500 typically for a Premier League game. Femi, got to ask, 2 aways a year with the club clamping down on away tickets, and they have to be in your name, or what's been proposed hasn't gone through yet, where you can actually sort of stipulate a couple of people at the start of the season to use your away tickets if you're not going, but you lose the credit or whatever they're going to hash out on a new system. Obviously, you must have noticed that it's increasingly harder to get away tickets, mate.
Yeah, impossible. To be fair, I usually get it from other people, which is the way that I used to get away tickets. So someone will be like, well, I've got a spare for this game. Can you travel here? And I'll be like, yeah, let's go. Like last year, I went to Brighton away. On New Year's Eve, literally at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I got a call. There's a spare ticket. Do you want to come? But all those people are finding it impossible, basically, to get tickets now. And one away game that I did manage to buy a ticket for myself that I got credit for was in the Europa League last season, FC Zurich away, I want to say. That was going to be my first game, but a few things came up, so I couldn't go. And unfortunately, there was a guy that actually lived in Zurich that could take the ticket. But Arsenal were insistent that I had to pick up the ticket, and basically the ticket just went to a waste because he lived in Zurich, so it was literally, I'm giving it to an Arsenal fan, face value, and they just wouldn't allow it, so the ticket just went to a waste because I just couldn't make it. But I think that's literally the story now.
There was about 300 empty seats at that game. It was moved to St. Gallen, and it was a similar sort of thing. It would drop down to, I think, 0 points unread for that game. But there was six opportunities last season to get away points. Man City away in the FA Cup. There was Wolves in the League Cup. There's quite a number that you could build up your points on. Sorry, I'll leave you go, Gav.
No. I did get to Man City away, actually. I forgot about that in the Cup. And funny enough, the Zurich game, what happened was they actually didn't send a physical ticket out in time. So they were supposed to send it, but they didn't get it out in time, which is the reason why I couldn't get it to the guy as well, which was really frustrating. It was pretty pointless having a ticket and not, just not being able to make it, and then it's just gone to a waste, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get that at all. I mean, apparently that was the same in Lons. I think I'll put the figure up on Twitter. I think it's something like 380 tickets weren't even collected. Fergus, how are you finding? I know you go away as often as you can. How are you finding it with the tickets? You getting them off the credits you built up?
No, I've got some of the credits I've built up. I've got Newcastle lined up. I've got West Ham in the Cup lined up. Like Femi, I get them off very good friends where tickets come up and they've got a spare for whatever reason. I was really fortunate last season. I was able to do, in all competitions, 42 out of the 49 games. My bank balance doesn't think it's that good. But this season, Lons nearly went pear-shaped for me. I did get my tickets for Lons, but the guy who was going to sort me out there then, rightly so, got very nervous about getting photoed for Seville. So we got Seville via another source, and of the 4 tickets, 3 of them are physical, and we have to pick up one. I've actually got one as well in my name, which I've got to pick up in Seville. So you just have to keep an eye out, and it's getting to the different levels. Like I'm at 12 now, and the next key is trying to get 15. So you just buy the tickets and go if you can. I don't pay for fuel at work, so it does make it a little bit cheaper if I drive up and drive back on a day or whatever like that. It's just difficult, and I think it's unfair. You see all the regular faces at the away games, which you guys will know. You'll recognise a lot of people who've been going for years and years and years. But lately, as the popularity has come and the 30 quid, 30's plenty, and that thing, there are an awful lot more, almost like half and half scarfers in the away end, which for me, that's the one place they shouldn't be. Whatever about being at the Emirates or being at Wembley for a big event, the away tickets should be for the hardcore.
Yeah, no, Geoff. I know you dabble in tickets here, there, and everywhere, or have done in the past. Have you noticed that sort of just the market closing on away tickets? There's not as many people buying and selling, or selling, so to speak.
The away tickets have always been difficult. I mean, I think Arsenal is one of the maybe two clubs that have sold out for every single Premier League away game since the Premier League existed. Arsenal have always had a fantastic away support, but like the boys have said, we used to just exchange tickets amongst each other. You know, you pick up a ticket here and there if you want to go to that game. I generally go to all the London away games. I deal in corporate hospitality as well, so if I can't get an away ticket in the Arsenal end, then I'll find a ticket in the corporate section at the away section. It's difficult sometimes. Obviously, I wouldn't do that at someone like Tottenham, you know, for the obvious reasons. But no, it is difficult. But again, it's the popularity now. But having said that, even back in 3, 4, 5 years ago, when we was, you know, kind of like rubbish, Arsenal would always sell out. They would always sell out, but there would be just more tickets available, and the popularity wasn't there. But now it's gone tenfold. Everybody wants to go and see the Arsenal, and that includes all the Europeans and the people from around the world, and they will spend a lot of money to go and see the Arsenal. And if it's an away game, it's going to cost them more than what it normally costs because the allocations are smaller. So yeah, it's a difficult situation that we're in, Gav.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you go back to the season before COVID. Literally, yeah, I didn't even have to bother booking up on my silver membership because I knew that there'd be a mate who don't fancy it that week or can't make it, or you know, I reckon that the whole season I could have or was offered, not from sort of randoms because I talk about tickets online and on Twitter and on my Facebook page and everything, but I never use it to get any or to buy or to sell. Do you know what I mean? I've only ever done it with, you know, I've only ever got tickets off of all basically mates. And that's how it's kind of run for years and years. And it seems like at the moment that the club are trying to catch groups of mates out that do that. I know one group of mates got treated like almost like criminals last season, and everybody connected with them was getting pickups, and a few people lost all their credits. One girl lost her season ticket as well. All over, like I say, just something that's been common practice for years, unfortunately. And it seems like the club they're not hitting the right people when it comes to, which moves us on to the next subject, which is the touts. The measures they seem to be bringing in, both for home tickets and away tickets, to catch touts, aren't really catching, you know, the touts. They're catching groups of friends. I mean, Femi, obviously you've got 2 season tickets in your name, which is perfectly legitimate because the club have been selling them to you. What do you do when, you can't have your same bum on 2 seats, can you?
Yeah, to be fair, I know someone who's been using it for years. So the same person has been using the same, and he's actually just a cool guy that just is number 60,000 odd on the waiting list. So he literally just, you know, we spoke a while ago. He was introduced to me by someone who actually is a regular. And he said, "Oh, this guy is a good guy, and he just needs to get to the game, really." And we just I don't charge him anything. He just pays the price of the ticket, and he goes every year, pays me in full every June, and that's literally the arrangement that we have. And obviously, at some point, my children are getting older, I'll move the seat sort of next to me, and then it will just become a 2-seat basically. But for me, it's just for someone who just couldn't get to games basically, and goes to every game. He doesn't miss a game as well, so I can't complain about that.
Yeah, no, fair. I mean, that's at least you're doing the right thing. I mean, it seems that the club's measures to stop touting just haven't done anybody any favours. I mean, Fergus, I've seen you mention in the past about it seems like even at the home games you're seeing different people in the same seat every game and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the North Bank and everyone piles in anyway, so there's probably 3 people to every seat in the North Bank at times, possibly even more sometimes. But we have noticed, because Capo, Dan and myself and a few others, we do all the singing and then making all the racket and noise on the concourse before the game around Block 5. And the different faces and it's a lot of youths and stuff like that. And listen, it's great to get young fans coming to the game, but it is an awful lot of new faces. And you mentioned before COVID. Before COVID, there was games I couldn't go to for whatever reason because of work or not being well, and Trev, who does the podcast, will read the same thing. You couldn't give tickets away for free.
Exactly.
You couldn't give tickets away for free.
Yep.
So it's just absolutely ridiculous. I know there was that Man City game where there was 15,000 around the end of Emery Wenger sort of period. It was about 15,000 in the stadium. And now, because we're doing well, everyone's crawling out from underneath the rock. And I listen, I love the people who are supporting it. I love what the Ashburton Army are doing. I love what Dan and the guys in Block 5 are doing. But the club, whilst they're trying to sort something out with the tickets, I think they went digital. They took the plunge to go on the on your phone sort of thing. Yet again, if you transfer a ticket to me, I get a PDF as well. So you stand outside Arsenal tube station and you get those guys going, tickets, going to buy and selling. And he's got a wodge of like photocopy paper, a ream of paper of tickets, and they're selling them out. And all they have to do is go and get, for them, they just stick 50 quid and dump a red membership. Yeah, the club are doing something, but they're not doing it right. You either have to go all or nothing. You can't do this halfway house between PDFs and
digital.
Yeah, digital. It has to be digital and only digital. And I think away tickets will eventually go that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've said for years that the Premier League is big enough and has got enough money being pumped into it for every club to have the same digital entry system, so that there is no paper tickets anymore. I know, Geoff, you deal with the hospitality side of things.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much you want me to say here or whatever. That's up to yourself. But I do know that the club have sort of they've cut back, haven't they, on the amount of tickets that they're giving to sort of like the holiday companies, so to speak.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. 50%. My allocation cut 50%. Obviously, I'm not going to declare how many I get or what I'm not. But and a lot of the travel clubs abroad, they've had all theirs cut by 50% as well. But let me just go back a minute to, I mean, it's all happening now. This is a bit of a PR thing from Arsenal, I believe, as well. They've got that issue we've got a terrible issue with the website at the moment, but it's the thing, as everyone seems to be screaming because they can't get tickets for Arsenal. Well, like Fergus said a little while ago, where was these people 4 and 5 years ago when there was gaps and gaps of tickets or seats? They could have gone then. And even the away tickets, you can build up your points. But you've got to buy all the shit games, the League Cup away games at Doncaster and places like that. Build them up, go to the European games. Some people are lazy. They just want to go, you know what, I want to go and see Arsenal Man United this week. Mate, you've got no chance, right? Don't think you can just pick it out of the sky, right? It's not going to happen. You've got to work hard. You've got to do something for it, right? You can't just pick and choose your games. You can pick and choose your games. But if someone's going to charge you 200 or 300 quid for it, you're going to have to heave it up, mate, because that's just the way the world is. There's resales for everything in life now. Not only tickets, everything. There's resales. That's the way the world is going there. Everyone's got a little side hustle. Not everybody, but a lot of people, that's how they make their money. But at Arsenal, it's like the screaming that's going on at the moment because people can't get a ticket. You could have gone on the season ticket waiting list 10, 15 years ago. You could have bought, 3 years ago, they were slinging club levels at you. Slinging them.
Yeah.
As
There's a
many
waiting
as you
list, man.
Yeah, now there's a waiting list. So it's the recency thing that we're going on about here. Everyone wants to go and see the good team when they're playing well. That's not how it works, mate. Right?
Yeah.
If you're a
No,
fan,
I mean, I'm getting.
go on, mate.
No, sorry, John. I'm just agreeing with you. Go on.
Yeah, if you're a fan, get on the waiting list. It might take you a little while, but you will eventually get your season ticket. Or you've got to do like Femi and others do. You've got to bump into pals or people that people that they might have a little bit of hardship. They can't afford their $4,000 in May to pull it up at $4,000. So they say, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. Fabio wants a couple of tickets, mate. I'll ask him, or I'll ask someone else. They might want to take them off me for a season or 2 seasons or whatever.
Geoff, I've got a friend.
That's how it works.
I've got a friend who splits a season ticket. They do half and half. There's a lot of guys who do that, and that's another way. If you've been, I've got my season ticket now for about 10 or 11 years, 12 years. Jesus, I've seen an awful lot of shit at times. But if I'll never give it up. I will make sure, even if I had to leave the country, I would put it into my son's name. I'll put it into my grandson's name. I'd keep it in the family. I'd put each ticket on ticket exchange, and I'd maintain it for as long as I possibly can.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing now. The thing now, if you've got a season ticket now, and you get hardship or whatever, or you can't make half the games, or whatever the scenario is, you chuck it on ticket exchange. So there's no reason whatsoever now to give up a season ticket, which is why the churn of season tickets is very, very low. It's low because A, we're doing well, and B, because you can't lose any money on it. You just chuck it on a credit card, and then okay, you lose a little bit of interest over the course of the year, like whatever it is, but you're not actually losing money, which boils down to obviously where I'm stuck in. And I do appreciate what you said, Geoff, about get yourself on the waiting list, get yourself a season ticket. Where were you? You should have done this 10, 20 years ago. I've had that thrown at me a lot because, like I say, because I've been a silver member or a red equivalent member, for this amount of years, which is like 25 years. But I've never actually been able to afford, to go game in, game out before obviously the ticket exchange come in where you got your money back. Or B, actually had the time in my life away from Arsenal, with family stuff, kids stuff.
Of course,
the various things. So that's the reason why. I mean, and even when you hark back to the days where the ground was half empty, you look behind the clock in, and generally the lower tier was always full. Yep. Even when the East and West stand was sort of half empty when the season tickets didn't turn up, but what they've done how they've sorted this out, I just think it's very, very underhanded with the club. Because basically what they did was, after COVID, they said to every season ticket holder, you can have a year off and you can get your season ticket back at the end of that year. Yeah. And so they've done that. And I don't think the club will ever release just how many people took a season ticket up that year for the first time.
Yeah, but it was about 5,000, I think, that they offered ticket-wise. So basically, where a lot of people were concerned about large crowds or health or money or whatever the reason was, they were given the option, due to hardship and everything else, that the club gave them a year off. Those tickets then were sold on to new people who were on the waiting list. Like a friend of mine was 20-odd thousand on the list, and he was told, here's your season ticket. You have it for 1 year, and then we'll put you as a priority for the next year. But then what they've done the next year is they were hoping that half those people wouldn't renew because they've got used to staying at home and not going to the football and spending the money in different ways. But most of them, because we were doing better, took back the option of having their ticket, and then they took away from the red and silver allocation, mostly the silver allocation, to keep the people who had got their little bit of crack cocaine for a year at the Arsenal, and they wanted some more. They wanted some more.
Yeah.
So they renewed. They couldn't win in that situation. In fairness, and I'm not saying they've done everything right, but I think what they did there, giving people a year off, was a good idea, and saying to people, yes, you can have a season ticket, but not chucking them on the scrap heap afterwards. So you can say to somebody, give me 1,500 quid to help us out of trouble so we can rent that seat that's empty. And then next year, we're going to put you back on the list and you're going to wait 4 or 5 years because nobody else is going to let you back into the stadium on a season ticket.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. But if I'd got a season ticket under the premise that, look, you've just got this for 1 year and then you're at the top of the priority list, you'll go to position 1, or there's 1,000 of you, then I would have suffered that.
Well, that's what they did do, though.
They didn't. Everybody.
No. I'm talking about. Sorry, Gav. I'm talking about my friend who got his season ticket. That was the premise he went in. He went his eyes wide open. I've got it for a year. I don't know what's happening next season, but I'm priority for the next season. But then they gave him a season and let him renew it again and again. Yeah,
basically. I mean, that's what's happened, and they did take it because they had this promising still that Red members would get 3,500 tickets. All of those season tickets, every single new season ticket for that season, come out of the silver allocation, which led to the mess of last season. I mean, last season, ticket-wise, as a silver member and again then as a red member, was just a complete and utter disaster. And they've compounded that by listening to a couple of idiots who thought that a ballot would be a good idea. And it's some of the stories that I hear, people that have put in for every single game so far and got none.
Right.
It's just an absolute joke. And the fact that the silver membership is costs 20 quid more than the red membership, but the Reds get more tickets. And it's almost like, it is the club. If the club had their way at the moment, they would have, if there's 8,000 or 7,000 tickets in this pile for silvers, reds and seniors and juniors, they would have 8,000 different people sitting on the seats every day, every game. That's what they want. They want
the Man City game. The Man City game, we got in early. We always get in an hour and 15 minutes beforehand. And Trevor, who I do our podcast with, he wasn't drinking that day, and he just sat in this little booth just inside block C, entrance C, and he sat there and he watched people come in, loads of new faces, as we said earlier, and every one of them coming in, some with half and half scarves, but all with big bags of merch. They've just fallen through the armory and chucked 500 quid at anybody when they walked in. Just give me a bag of stuff, and that's what they want. They want tourists in there who have not been in years, and they want to go and spend on all the merchandise in the shops, and they're loving it.
And guess what, Angus? That game, I was searching for 2 tickets for that game, and I tried all my usuals, but usually people are like, I'm not coming to this game. Do you want this ticket? I'm not coming to. There's people around. When you make friends with people, you've been there, sitting around them for 10 years, and they're going on holiday. They'd rather sell it on to you or to someone that sits around there. They're putting in on exchange because it's quicker to get their money, etc., etc. And no one was giving it up. And I had 2 people coming from abroad who were begging me for tickets. So I went on one of those random reselling websites. And if you saw the prices of the tickets that were around me, so I looked in my block, I swear to you, if I sold 2 games, 2 A-level games, it would have paid for my whole season ticket for the season. That's how much they were going on there for, which I just found it amazing. But one of the things that I think that we have lost, and I have to say, because I sit right kind of near, in the west, so near where the TV cameras are, but you always used to be able to hear the Ashburton Army lot, and I promise you, it has made a difference this year that their numbers have dwindled. I don't know how much they had before, but it's less than half of what they had before, and you can actually tell the difference, especially when the games are quiet. You can tell the difference now.
Yeah, I mean, officially, Ashburton Army last year had 100 tickets, I believe, per game. and that was cut to 50, but this season. But I mean, obviously, 100 people make a hell of a lot. They make more than double the noise of 50 to start with, and they was bringing all the people in around them as well. And I know people that were trying to book up tickets. Like I've got a mate whose boy's about 16 now, and last season when they were booking up on the silver membership, that's what his boy wanted. His boy wanted to be as close to Ashburton Army as possible so he could join in the singing all game. And that's been lost with A, the fact there's now half of them, and B, which was again the next thing on our list. God, this is just working a dream, isn't it? The fact that silver and red members can't actually pick where they sit. Not only can't they pick where they sit, they can't pick what tier they're in. A very good friend of mine, who actually lives in Edinburgh, he's a red member. His wife's a red member, and his father-in-law is a senior red member. And they've tried every game, blah blah blah. They've been successful once, and when the tickets got allocated, his father-in-law is 83. They got a ticket right at the back of the upper tier. I just don't understand why the fact that the club have been promising since July. Look, when you put in for these ballot raffle things, that you can actually just say whether you want a lower tier or an upper tier, or you don't care what one it is. But they're actually giving people seats. Look, they don't really particularly want to sit in. We're very tribal as football supporters. Me and Geoff, probably going back to the standing days when we were kids. You had your spot, Geoff, didn't you?
Of course you did, 100%. My old man used to take me in the North Bank, push me down the front where all the kids, Yeah.
And like I say, your dad was probably standing in the same spot where he could keep an eye on you every game.
Yep, just above the goal, he was.
Exactly. And then when I was standing in the clock end, it was, I wanted to be by this. You're looking at the pitch, I wanted to be just to the side of the right post, about halfway up. And when I was booking, all the times I booked silver tickets at the bowl, I wanted to be behind the goal, right at the back, or as close to the away fans as I could get, but right at the back. And that's what football fans want. That's what supporters want. You want to be able to sit where or stand, or ideally stand, but you've got a preference. Some people I know prefer the upper tier because they want to sit down all game and they want a better view of the game, etc., etc. So the way we're still waiting 4 months later. 11 home tickets sold now, and they still haven't sorted that out. It's just a joke, really.
It's not going to be sorted till next season. Somebody who was in the supporters meeting, that was brought up, and there's a few other things that they're looking at. They got rid of 40,000 IP bogus red memberships, but that thing as well. They're picking an upper or lower, or setting a price banding. The IT system they use is crap, and basically you can't do it. Answering Arnie's question, because Arnie's from Iceland, he said some fans you'd have to fly over in 3 or 4 days. I applaud some fans that come from all around the world, but it's just the ones I'm referring to as tourists are genuinely tourists. We're in London, let's take in a show, let's take in a Premier League game, and there is plenty of them around.
Yeah, no, that's again going back to why silver members are silver members. A lot of I've got people that I speak to that are silver members. There's loads in Northern Ireland. There's loads and loads in Ireland itself. I've been contacted. I know one fella from Italy quite well. We have a chat every now and then. There's loads in Scandinavia as well. And again, when it comes to the ballots, one of the reasons was that people haven't got 2 hours to sit online to buy a ticket, which as a silver member wouldn't be a problem if they didn't blinking slash the capacity or slash the allocation from its initial 8,000 to about 1,800, whatever it is now. And it's just not working because there was enough tickets for all the silver members, as been proved this year. If the allocation wasn't slashed, there was enough tickets for all silver memberships wants and needs, because if you are a doctor or a nurse or a policeman and you can't book in you can't take the time off at 10 a.m. to log in. A, you wouldn't have had to, but B, they're selling tickets for games that might be rearranged or moved. And these are the sort of people that, with their jobs and their careers, couldn't actually have got a season ticket 15 years ago or 20 years ago, because there wasn't no such thing as a ticket exchange. So these measures have really, really sort of hurt the core of what being a silver member was really, and how it suited so many people.
I think it's a complete own goal. That ballot system is a complete own goal for Arsenal. They've tried to concentrate on the black market and outlawing it and trying to get them out of the system, but they've spoiled everything for the normal Arsenal supporter. They would go onto the ticket exchange and battle his way through and maybe spend half an hour or 45 minutes or whatever when the tickets went on sale, and try and buy them on when the on sale dates were, or they try and pick them up over the course of the time when the tickets went on, on the ticket exchange from season ticket, etc. But the irony of it is, this ballot system has made the black market even worse, because even the black market can't get tickets. And what does that do? That pushes the prices up even further, right? So they've got to try and balance it right. Of course, listen, when we're playing well, the Emirates, if there was 100,000 in there, it would most probably sell out, right?
Yep.
You're never going to get everybody into the stadium when everyone, an Arsenal Man City game, or you'd probably sell 200,000 tickets if the stadium was big enough, because we're a global football club, and like the lad from Iceland there, Arnie, he might only get over to see. He might have been an Arsenal fan for all his life, and he want to come over to see Arsenal maybe once or twice a year. Of course, he would love to be able to go onto the website and buy one. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes the games are sold out, right? And he'd have to purchase a ticket for over and above what they cost, if they don't know somebody that's associated to Arsenal, or season ticket holders or whatever. That's just the fact of life, right? But the Arsenal this season have completely cocked it up.
It's just made ticket exchange harder, isn't it?
Well, nobody's happy.
No, it's made ticket exchange harder, because when it's open, I mean, silver members are supposed to get X amount of time, or X amount of weeks where it's just for silver members. Where I spoke to people and they've said it's relatively simple and quite quick to get a ticket. But once it goes on to open for everybody with these, the 102 or 200,000 or whatever it is, red members, God knows how many of them are actually, well, I would say a hefty amount of them aren't actually in real people's names.
That's where they've gone wrong, Gav. Like, you talk about the silver allocation being cut. Okay, maybe they had to accommodate that additional season tickets before, but they haven't issued any more silver memberships to anybody. I've had my red memberships, and I'm 7,000 on the list to convert to silver, and I have been for years. But they're still selling red memberships, and if you buy a red membership, today, I can go into the ballot for the PSV game or whatever the next game is, and I can get a ticket. Now that's where it's wrong. If you have a ballot system, there should be a finite number of tickets in that draw. And they're just coming along saying, guess what? We can sell more tickets and more, and they're taking 40 quid off people or 50 quid off people for nothing. And it's churning a load of money into the club, and it's pissing people off. It's pissing off loyal fans like the Silvers and Red members who've been around for years. Last year, my Red memberships were used for probably 75% of games. 75% of games, I had tickets on there. I had 5,000 or 6,000 reward points on each one of them. That will tell you how many times I went to it. But they've totally cocked up by continuing to sell Reds. They should have another level. I don't know.
At the start of the season, let's just say the first game, just before the first game of the season, there should be a cut-off point. If you haven't purchased a Red membership by that time, you're closed off now for the rest of the season, right?
Correct.
Because then you won't have these fair weather fans who just want to go, halfway through the season, we're cracking away, we're top of the league or whatever. Oh, let me get a membership because I want to go and see a few games now, right? Because that is not fair. Because you might have, I don't know how many red memberships they've got. They won't declare it, but let's just say,
200,000, I think.
Well, I was going to say 200,000. 200,000 people fighting for 1,500 tickets.
Yeah, but how many of them in the hands of touch? That's the thing. Out them 200,000, and obviously I think the club have sort of semi-admitted it, whether they've done it publicly or whether they've done it, on one of these non-disclosure meetings. A hefty chunk of them are owned by touts, are owned by overseas touts, are owned by people that are involved in organised crime. And the club had to do allegedly. The club literally all they had to do really. I mean, to stop the touts have bots, which are you can buy a bot online for about, I think the cheapest one I saw was for about 750 quid, right? Which will just steam through all of the software that Ticketmaster have to provide with these days. But all the club had to do at the start of this season was actually ID check everybody. Do you know what I mean? They've put so much time and resources into a ballot.
What does ID checking achieve? I've got my son's junior gunner membership. You're never going to ID a kid. I've got 2 reds in my name, and I've got my season ticket in my name. Femi's got 2 season tickets in his name, but somebody else uses it. How is ID checking? I've seen you put this on Twitter. I don't know how it works.
The only thing, Fergus, is I think it would. The only reason it would make sense for that is because, like Gav is saying, what's happening is if I put my ticket on exchange, because I always wondered how do these tickets get on these other websites for such a high price, and it gives you the exact seat number that you're going to sit in. Why would the club not clamp down on that? Now, what would happen is if I put my ticket on exchange, these bots will snap it up within seconds, because I've tried to buy tickets on exchange and it looks like the ticket's there, but within 5 seconds the ticket is gone. So the bot will snap it up and send it to the tout, which has got a red membership in any address, any name, anything, and then he can then put that on these other websites for £500-600, knowing that even if Arsenal caught him, they'll just cancel that membership, wouldn't they? Which wouldn't really matter to him because he's got 100 other memberships.
Well, surely then the only way, rather than doing ID checks, maybe when you do the payment for your red membership, that the card has to be in the name of the red member. So
it's simple. It's simple like people saying, "Oh, some people haven't got a driving license." Fair enough. Some people haven't got it's a relatively simple thing to do with the technology they've got these days. To actually, everybody can prove where they live. Basically, it is that simple. Do you know what I mean? If they're expecting everybody to go in with a mobile phone, everybody's got a mobile phone bill.
Gav. Okay. Let's say they did that. So everybody's got to take their driving license or ID to the stadium with them. Yeah.
No, you do it online.
Well, I know. Okay, cool, no problem. You buy the ticket online with your ID. What is to stop you selling that ticket to Joe Bloggs up the road, right? Because Joe Bloggs up the road ain't going to have your identification, right? And to be honest with you, they can't police it, Gav.
Mate, there's people living in the UK that don't even know that their name and address is being used, and they are red members of Arsenal.
Yeah, but I'm talking about you're talking about the ID.
And these are the people that are scooping up the tickets off the ticket exchange, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'm not talking about people like Fergus and Femi and blah blah blah. I'm talking about this is solely to improve the ticket exchange.
The IDs won't work, Gav. They won't work.
I don't think they'll work. And the issue is further. Sorry, Geoff. The issue is a lot closer to home. There's supporters clubs. There's all sorts of other stuff going on as well, where tickets are being moved on and sold and stuff. There's ID checks won't go. Go on, Geoff. Sorry, mate.
No, it's right. The ID checks, because I can't. You bought the ticket. They've sold it on to someone else. That person goes to the stadium. they can't check everybody's ID. There's just not enough
just to buy the ticket, and you can just to buy the ticket in the first place, or just to become an Arsenal member. You provide ID. You provide a copy of your. I mean, okay, yeah, you can get cheap fake driving licenses. All the fucking. You speak to any 17-year-old mate. They've got ID to say they're 18.
Well, there you go.
It like I say, it simply puts another barrier involved in it. It's got to for the ticket exchange to work, and to be free of bots and to be free of touts. They've got to tighten up ID on people that actually use it.
The solution is don't have paper tickets.
Well, of course, but the club don't, like I say, the club have done the half measure on that, haven't they?
Yeah, but I think they'll have to push forward with the other with making it purely digital, and I think that is what will happen. Season ticket holders are now purely digital, so you can't get into the stadium unless you've got your smart. I know they will do for accessibility reasons, and if there's older people, they'll make an exception. But as a rule, a season ticket holder has to have it in their Apple or Google Wallet.
No, that's not true, Fergus.
Yeah, it's not true, Fergus.
You can send it on. Season ticket holders can send it onto PDF. And that's where all the PDFs are coming from.
No, I know, but in theory, my season ticket is on here. But if I transfer it to one of my Reds, it then converts into a PDF, and that's what they're what are getting sold.
Yeah, what they did was they forced people, or it kind of made people go onto that system. But I know people that have actually got physical cards that actually still work. Not the old one, but they ask for a new card, basically. A lot of people don't know that those cards, because it's just a touch system, isn't it? It's like wireless phones and wireless cards. It's just a touch system. As long as you've got something that will let you in, but they discourage it so much that everyone thinks that you can't use it. That's why the PD, because the cards can still work, but they've encouraged nearly everyone to use it on their phone, which, to be fair, has caused, I know people on Android phones who it's caused so much issues. On iPhones, it seems to work perfectly well, but on people with Androids have had nightmares with those digital cards, which is why some people did get the physical cards.
So you saying if I went in with this, it would still work?
Maybe not that one. They have a different one. It's a little bit of a different color red as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you can, if you need a ticket or whatever to get in, there'll always be a way around it. I mean, we're gonna have to. Honestly, there's always going to be a black market.
But if they go down the digital route, that will stop the guy outside the tube station selling tickets. That's my theory.
I think with the technology that's involved and the technology that there is these days, there shouldn't be any paper tickets whatsoever, and B, there must be a simple way of proving your ID and proving every Arsenal member's ID. Even with kids, like I say, kids is obviously the exception where it is a little bit more difficult to prove. But I mean, my 11-year-old's got a rooster. So most kids these days, once they get over the age of 11, have got some form of digital card that they use. I mean, my daughter's school, believe it or not, when they go in, on her first day, they fingerprinted her. So when she wants something for lunch or for a snack or whatever, she just produces a fingerprint. And bang, it's added, and that fingerprint is added to the biometrics, which goes on to her bill, or goes on to the credit that they take the bill off. I mean, that's how simple it is. I mean, and this is like a blinking school in Havering. Do you know what I mean? And if they can do it, and I believe there's only 250 kids per year. So, I mean, that's only they've probably got biometrics for about 1,200, 1,300 kids. But it is that simple to do if you want to prove ID. And by means of all you have to, at the moment, I mean, I could leave here, make up 10 names on 10 addresses, and I've got 10 new red memberships. And like I say, there's no checks. I could do it all by the same card. I mean, I believe the club said last year that they found somebody that had 20 memberships, 20 red memberships, all at the same address.
Gav, you could have 10 memberships. You could buy 10 memberships today, right? I promise you, you ain't got no chance of getting a ticket on that website, brother.
Well, it depends, mate. It depends, mate. 750 quid, you get a bot. Do you know what I mean? It'd be a piece of piss.
Gav, it's not that easy, mate. Honestly, you need to trust me on it. It's not that easy.
I'm umming a lot there.
Well,
I'm umming a hell of a lot.
I think what Geoff said earlier about they could do it with Champions League tickets, especially for if they've got overseas fans, to stop them buying red members. If your membership was bought after a certain date, you can't buy a ticket for a certain game. I think that's exactly what they need to do. Is if anybody buys a red after 1st of August on any season, they cannot buy a ticket in that match. And I also think they need to add in another level that if you have a red membership or a silver membership and you haven't used it in 2 years, you're not offered a chance to renew it. It's cancelled. That will weed out some of them.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, but obviously, I mean, you've got people in the armed forces who could go away for a number of years and not use the ticket for a number of years. And that's why people are silver membership. I mean, it's part of it again. And like I say, there's probably thousands of Arsenal supporters worldwide who are red members who have never been a game. Whose dream it is to go to a game, and that's why they've bought their red membership. And it's the same with silver members. I mean, I know silver members that have consistently come over just 2 or 3 times a year, and they're quite happy to pay their 50, 60 quid or whatever, 57 quid or whatever it is for their 2 games a year, and they're happy to actually put money into the club as well. They're actually happy that the fact that they can say, right, yeah, I'm a paid up supporter of Arsenal. And that's the same for loads of people in America, Australia, all over Europe that do exactly the same. They want to feel part of the club, which is great. So they shouldn't actually be penalised for the actual number of games they actually attend, or whether they do ever attend. But
season ticket holders are going to be penalised if you leave your seat. If you don't attend 17 out of 19 games, you don't get the chance to renew your ticket. You need to make sure your seat. No, that's this season. You need to have your seat used.
Since last season, yeah.
Well, but there's no excuse. There is, apart from the very elderly, which I'm sure there's quite a few of, but there is no excuse these days not to have a bum on your seat. The problem is there's too many of these bums that are going on these seats that are, as you described earlier, they're the tourists coming to London for 3 weeks and want to see all the sights. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem. And there's too many of those season tickets that are going on ticket exchange that are ending up with touts. And people are spending the extraordinary money on it. I think that anybody that buys a ticket off of a tout is actually making the problem worse for everybody. And again, what you sort of look into when you speak to and have conversations and with as many people as I have over the years, everybody wants a solution to this ticket issue to suit their needs or to suit their own agenda. I mean, I put a thing up last year about what they should do is scrap silver, scrap red, and introduce a loyalty system based on how many years people have been a member and how many games they've been to over 2, 3, 4, 5 years, which that way it protects the people that, from overseas and from Scotland and from Cornwall and from Ireland and Northern Ireland that come over for their 6 games a year and have done religiously for 20 years. And also it gives the new people that have been going for sort of 10 years and have been going every single game for 10 years, the same sort of loyalty. With this ballot system, it's just shown zero loyalty to anybody.
I think they've got the ballot system. ballot system from other clubs. I saw on Twitter that Newcastle put a tweet out saying that they put the wrong prices up for, I can't remember who they were playing, and United or something like that, in the ballot, and that was the thing that dragged my attention, and that they were going to honour the prices. Liverpool have done a ballot system for years. Man United have done a ballot system, and I think ballot systems are going to happen in all Premier League clubs. It's just how it's policed and how it's managed is the issue.
Not everybody's going to be satisfied. There's always going to be a group of people that are not satisfied. That's just the way of the world, and that's what happens when you got a successful football team, which is a good thing. But there's going to be a lot of people that are not happy with whatever system because it doesn't suit them.
Yeah, and like I say, I mean, I can see it from both angles because I was, a red equivalent member when there was zero allocation at Ivory, and I didn't complain about it. I didn't moan about it. As you said earlier, Geoff, I networked. Do you know what I mean? I had a couple of mates who were the silver equivalent members, and there was 3 of us who used to use 2 of the memberships because one was a bus driver and one worked, had to get up at 3 o'clock every morning. So between the 3 of us, we had all the games covered. If there was a game where all 3 of us wanted to go, I knew a fellow that drunk in the Gunners pub and you give him 50% more than what the ticket was worth, and again, you've got a ticket and you're in the game. And that's how it used to work. Do you know what I mean? And even then, I'm talking about, a 26 quid ticket and I'm giving the fella 35 quid or whatever. It's not like it is with touts now where they're selling, 30 quid, 40 quid tickets for 200, 300, 400 quid.
That's networking.
That's networking, it sounds a bloody good business if you ask me, but it's just completely unethical. And the way the club have put this system in and this system in place, it's facilitating it. It's unfortunate, but they are facilitating touting at the moment and facilitating big profits for touting.
Gav, is it the new system? Is it incompetence? Is it teething problems? Or is it just football is a game of money and they don't want Fergus turning up, maybe buying 5 or 6 pints, or Femi turning up and buying nothing, or me turning up, getting in for half price, my friend getting in for nothing, and there's no way Arsenal are ever getting a penny off of me? Which one is it? Or is it all 3?
Yeah, it's a snowball effect of greed, basically. The club kept increasing the number of red allocation to encourage more people to spend their 30 quid on their red membership fees, and somebody down the line, probably even last season, got a hefty bonus for the amount of red members on there. They've probably also noticed a difference in the amount of spend in the shop. There is massive cynics out there, which I'm still sitting on the fence in. Look, the club do actually prefer this. The club do want these 8,000 match by match sales to go to 8,000 different people, and if they had their way, everybody would just get 1 ticket per game, because the likelihood of them spending in the club shop is actually increased. But it's, to go back to what you said, it's incompetence, and they're not actually speaking to. But when the club are making these decisions and bringing these things in, they're not actually speaking to people that have got experience. How the club didn't know that people would prefer either lower or upper is beyond me. Any basic human, being who's been going football for years and years and years would know that some people prefer going to the upper, some people prefer going lower. There's women out there that are 5'2", who don't want to be, standing, or don't want a seat directly behind Ashburton Army, because they know they're not going to see anything, and they deliberately try and get upper tier tickets so they can actually see something.
It's like me with my one. They know the people who's in the lower tiers where the wheelchairs sit. They know if you put all the wheelchairs at the back and then people stand up, you're not going to get people to sit down, and they know we can't see. So for that whole of that first season, or the only season I did the whole season, I think I missed about 2 games. I even did the 2 pre-seasons, the Brazil International and the Bergkamp one. And we said to them right from the beginning, why have you put all the wheelchairs here? I can't stand up and look over everybody. They went, I don't know. So then I have to, like you were saying, with a different tier, I have to then go, and when I did go the next season, I went to 3 or 4 games. I made sure I got the middle tier one so that I could actually see what was going on. But we're running out of time, Gav. So if I pay you 60 grand a year and you're now in charge of the Arsenal tickets, how many people do you need to employ, and how's the easiest way for you to fix this?
Is that before or after tax, by the way?
I'll just get you to say you're an
Okay, that's fair enough. Well, basically, I mean, from a silver perspective, it's quite simple, really. You just give all the allocation back. That would be the simple one to protect silver members. If I was being fair about it, I would get rid of silvers, get rid of reds, and do the loyalty times games formula that I put in earlier. And yeah, and like I say, I would make it all fully electric. I'd make sure that people, the very, very bare minimum, that when people pay to renew or when people join as members, that the card they pay with is registered at the address that they're actually putting in where they live. And I would probably sack Ticketmaster. I've never liked Ticketmaster. There was a fucking pain in the arse when I was trying to phone them up in 1998, and I think they've still got the system in place now.
Does that that system that you're talking about though, Gab? Does that not create like a closed market, so to speak, i.e., where everyone that's on the, say, like 45 points for the away scheme at the moment, they're going to keep buying their tickets, even if they don't use them, and find people like myself, Femi, or Fergus to give them to when they don't need the tickets, right? And that then cuts out new guys having a chance to come in, like young kids, you know, they might be 14, 15 now, but they want to go and see the Arsenal. They've got no chance. That's what I'm saying to you. It's
well, they have at the moment. That's the thing, Geoff. As it is at the moment, there's no chance. There's people that have got red memberships for 12 years, and they've got kids now that are 17, 18, and they can't go. They can't go together, and they can't get the tickets.
There's talk of a lot of junior gunners and cannons, if they apply on their own to go into the family enclosure, they are getting picked. So there is something about bringing in younger fans. I've read on these notes I have from that meeting as well, every single membership has to be in a single person's name. A name change amnesty is happening again. And the average attendance in the previous season was 95%, and the average attendance so far this season is 98%. So, you know, they're getting people in there spending money. Arsenal are going to be happy. They just need to iron out the problems they've got somewhere along the line.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's just. I just feel that the whole system is actually being introduced by people who aren't football supporters, who haven't really got a clue about what football supporters wants and needs and what their traditions are, and what the family traditions are, and they're just making a complete pig's ear of it. The people that are advising them, I mean, you would have thought when they're implementing changes to the silver membership and these ballots and all that, they'd actually speak to the silver rep on it, and they didn't. They ignored his emails for the best part of 4 months. The club cancelled. Since I realised that there was a problem, which was probably around August, September of last year, I noticed that there was just a distinct lack of how many silver tickets were actually up for sale. And I realised very quickly after the first 2 or 3 sales that there's a large chunk of tickets that have just gone missing. And I couldn't work out why. And I actually myself had 3 meetings with, you know, the senior people at the time at the club, and all 3 were cancelled at short notice. So that's the problem, that the people that are in charge haven't got a clue, and they don't actually want to speak to people that have got experience in this. And that's where we've got to the scenario, you know, look, we're in at the moment, where, as Geoff said earlier, nobody's happy.
Oh dear.
So it's a bit of a shit show, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
I'm cheered up proper now.
Unfortunately. But So we haven't really got any further down the road, but hopefully the club will do in the coming months, having discussions with the supporters clubs and, you know, the AST and, you know, whatever. Hopefully those guys will have good input because they've got loads of experience. They're guys that have had season tickets for years, and they've got family with red memberships and stuff like that. And they're just, but again, it's just about, you know, let's just say we fall out the sky and we're mid-table by the start by the middle of this season, and we're the same the start of next season. There'll be loads of tickets available again. That's where the problem lies. It's just where it's popularism at this moment in time. Everyone wants to see the Arsenal.
Yeah, I know.
How many times last season did you have somebody come along and said, "You go to Arsenal, don't you? Can you get me 2 tickets, please? Can you get me 6 tickets, please? Can you get me and my aunt a ticket, please?" And the answer was always generally the same: no.
I get it a lot.
Even with the seat change thing, you know, when we were under Wenger, I could change my seat to wherever I wanted at the end of every season. I could just say, "Oh, can I move my seat?" Now, if you try and do that, they literally just say, "No chance." You know, but back then you can just say, "Oh, next season I want to move from the east to the north bank." They'll be like, "Yeah, sure, no problem," because people are always ready to move or giving up their tickets, really. So they could do that, but now not a chance.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, like I say, purely with, even though I'm not advocating that they do this, because I know the club won't, because it will cost them. You know, the club don't want to lose the revenue of red membership. But I think if you think there's 30,000 silver members, we've never been so popular, and there's only averaging out about 6,000 silver members going into the ballot. When the original allocation, when we moved into the bowl, was around 8,000 for silver members. So if they hadn't changed, increase the season ticket holders, given red members, blah, 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 even now when we're our most popular ever since we left Highbury, there still would have been enough tickets for every silver member to have gone the number of games that they've always gone. And it's a shame when you think that the silver members are the people that have been, you know, had a membership for at least 16 years now. To be a silver member, you had to have been a member for at least 16 years. And loads of them, like myself, have got kids that have been junior gunners. And it's almost penalising, you know, taking the next generation of the, you know, the legacy supporters, the hundreds and thousands out there like me that are second, third, fourth, fifth generation of going to games, and now we're struggling to take our kids half a dozen games a year. That's the sad bit about it, really, because the club want, or somebody at the club's getting a bonus off of selling 200,000 red memberships. And on that note, I need a pin.
Danny, the Schooner N7 on Twitter said, "I got my tickets off my mate," as though that breaking the rules and selling tickets on is legal. It's not. Well, we're not saying they're selling them on. We're just saying face value. So I think that's always been an unwritten rule. As long as it's face value, nobody really has an issue with it. Do you?
I agree with that. I mean, if just helping people out because the club don't care. Stephen,
I think
in the chat.
Sorry,
on, Gav. I mean, Geoff.
I think you'll find that the Arsenal tickets aren't, especially to red members, they're not transferable.
No, they're not. They are not.
You're not allowed to transfer it to your pal. You know, you can't do it. You're not allowed to do that. And if you get stopped at the gate and you don't know the right information, they'll throw you out, and that red membership is going to get dashed out as well. Even season ticket holders, there's only they won't let you do it. You know.
Yeah. Gav, Stephen Orchard in the chat sums up the entire show. From the Arsenal point of view, they meet their target of selling all the tickets, so why would they worry? That's it, isn't it?
Basically, it's like I say, it's a massive money generator for them, and the bottom line is that's all they care about, really. They care about having bums on seats. They care about how much spend per seat there is. I mean, that's what these executives at Arsenal are getting their bonuses on, spend levels per seat, and they're sitting there thinking of their pocket. And it's like, unfortunately, it's like everything looks bad in this world. Just follow the money, follow who's making an earner out of it.
I don't know. There's one way that they could alleviate a little bit of a problem is to find another 20,000 seats from somewhere in the stadium. I mean, it's a relatively new stadium. They must have been thinking about this. It must have been in the build that they might need a bigger stadium back in the day. There is
the room for it. There's the room to completely smash it down and rebuild it bigger. The problem that was that the actual number of seats in there wasn't dictated to by the size of the ground that they could build. It was dictated by Islington Council.
Yeah.
And Islington Council still probably won't budge, because as much money as Arsenal make for the borough on match days, and how that, it's kept pubs afloat, it's kept cafes afloat, for years and years. It's a big boost in the economy every time Arsenal play at home. The council just did not want that many people travelling in, and they're using the back of. We're the only club that's literally surrounded by train lines, and we're the ones that can't build a ground big enough because of dispersing people after games. I mean, you look at what Haringey did for Tottenham, and I mean, it's quite a walk to the nearest train station, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Whereas we've literally we're surrounded by it.
Yeah. Well, they didn't do the upgrade of Holloway Road. They didn't do the upgrade of Drayton Park when they did the stadium build, because they went over budget. But they didn't. They built the stadium within budget by cutting out other things that they were meant to do. Islington Council won't allow them over 60,000. There is talk of they are going to do a seat reconfigure, and they're going to try and get 3,000 or more seats into the stadium. That is a plan. There's some other bits and pieces that got planned, but I can't see that. Without pulling it down and starting again, I can't see Islington Council.
They can't pull it down, that's for sure. But they need to sit down with Islington Council, lock horns, and say, "Listen, we need another 10,000 seats in another tier. How are we going to get around it? What's it going to cost us? Because we have got the infrastructure. We've got the infrastructure there, like you said, Gav, about the train system, etc. Right? There's no reason why they can't do it.
I mean, has anybody been Ajax away or been to Ajax Stadium?
Yeah.
I mean, how? Like I say, their stadium's built next to a train line, and it's got its own, it's got its own train thing. It's got its own multi-story car park. The whole works. It's state of the art compared. Yeah, it's state of the art compared to our place. But I always just found it completely ridiculous that it actually hasn't. They didn't actually build. I mean, look, you can see how blinking on that picture. See how close it is to that train line. Why aren't they actually building a decent train? A decent train station there, and that would have hopefully done the job with or Jesus, bung them a few brown paper bags at the council. Jesus.
Well, I don't know why, but I don't even think Drayton Park's open on match day, is it?
It's not open. It can't take the capacity.
Yeah, Holloway Road is now fully closed on match days as well. It used to be open one direction, as in if you're going to central London, you used to be able to get off. Now it's totally closed, which I didn't actually realise once, and I almost missed the kickoff of a game just because of that. So I had to go all the way back to Caledonia and then come all the way back again to Arsenal. And another thing that you got to remember is I lived for a while near that Overlot Stadium when they were building it. One of the things that they did when they were building their stadium, obviously the transports into their stadium is horrific. Is just one of the worst. You either get off at Seven Sisters and walk, or you have a go at getting at one of those other overground stations, which is impossible. But what they did was they closed down Northumberland Park, and Angel Road wasn't even being used, and they totally rebuilt the whole of those two train stations to make it more fit for purpose for their new stadium. They rebuilt it. They made it almost 2 brand new stations that could fit a lot of people. And one of the things that you're looking at is when we built the stadium, we left Arsenal train station pretty much the same. We left Drayton, is it Drayton Park or Drayton Manor? Drayton Park, pretty much the same. Holloway Road is still the same. You know, we didn't do that kind of. We spent all our money on the stadium, and what they did
that was in the plans.
They actually got the.
That was in the plans.
Yeah, they actually got the council to help to fund some of their stadium, which they use for the transport system around the stadium, which we didn't actually have the foresight to do, unfortunately.
Yeah, isn't it the council to stand? Go on.
Avon in the chat says, what the Cronkies have done in America with their NFL team is to excavate and lower the pitch level, adding seat below the current floor level. Now, looking at the Emirates there, is that something that they could do? Drop the pitch by 20 foot?
Underneath is a car park.
And also the ground level starts just at the back of the entrance to the lower tier. So the lower tier is actually underground, and then there's the car park and all the irrigation and heating system for the pitch. There's it goes down another 2 stories.
So that's a no then.
But it's not. But it's not even about that. It's about the infrastructure to get the people there and away.
Yeah. I don't think there'll be anything that you could do or.
The only thing you can do is make the seats smaller. The biggest seats in the country. The seats are 1.5 times the seats of anywhere else. I went to Palace. I couldn't even get my left buttock into the seat. Everton, I know in a new stadium, but Everton is tight. There's so many smaller seats out there. It easily could be.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to them. I don't want to go back to them, Fergus. Then.
No, I know. Nor do I. Not that I sit in my seat. I never sit in my seat, Geoff, where I am. But the seats could be smaller.
Like Geoff's ever spent more than 5 minutes outside an executive box. Geoff, behave yourself.
You're joking, mate. No, I do sit in the East Upper, mate. But I do. I like Gabriel saying, I like to sit in the East Upper in the central blocks, so I can view the game. I like to listen. I know what the players look like. I don't need to be down the front. You know what I mean? I want to see the game of football as it is. You know, to see the offsides and the passages of play. You know, that's why I sit in the upper.
I wouldn't believe what you see with your eyes. It's all wrong. VAR gets it right.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's an hour and a half on its own. Isn't it?
Oh,
there we go.
Anyway, gents, we have gone over the allotted time, and I think Danny's looking like if his cat gets any closer, he's going to bite one of the legs off and have it for dinner. I appreciate everybody for joining me. I appreciate Danny for hosting this evening. So thank you, Femi.
Cheers, all. See you soon.
Thank you, Fergus.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you, Geoff.
Always a pleasure, Gav. Thank you.
Winger out. And thank you, Danny.
Cheers, Gav. Cheeky chops. Maybe one day we'll get you on a decent computer and then we'll be able to hear you properly. But yeah, that's why there's a little bit of interference, people. He's on his phone and he's going a bit mutton in his old age. And so it's bleeding from his earbuds into his microphone. That sounds a bit painful. Yeah, wonderful job hosting, Gav. All you have to do now is say your goodbyes.
Yeah, up the Arsenal. If you can get a ticket. Well, what do you want me to say? Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you to Danny. I've said thank you to everybody, haven't I? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do?
See you in Spain.
Have a good one, Fergie.
Right, I'm pressing the button. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
As soon as I scored that goal, I was fucking livid. Get down, dog. Splendid business.
He nearly caught the bloody thing. What are you talking about?
So I've just eaten a full quiche. Well, you don't often see them at it. So when you see them in the supermarket, they need to be swagged, microwaved immediately and get the brown sauce on and bosh, Bob's your uncle.
Never in doubt.